he's not been thinking about this, or all of the people he had in mind?
What I'm saying is,
no credible person.
I'm not reading his mind. But what I know, by the fact that I've been prosecuting corruption since the inception of EFCC, and we know that there are people that you think ordinarily are clean, very clean, but when you subject the records to thorough scrutiny, you find a kind of worms. You understand me? What you project publicly is not what you are really. When people dig search deeper, you need to consult with anti-corruption agencies to find out whether some people have been investigated. So you need to consult with the intelligence agencies. All of them, they have to double check.
Mr. Shitu, 1 second.
And they will come up with reports of their findings.
Okay, Mr. Shitu, one second. Mr. Okechukwu, a very quick one here. Are you not bothered about the ripple effect of this delay in the president appointing his ministers? Because the APC states especially, no appointments are going on, no commissioners, no heads of parastatals anywhere.
No, I do not think that Mr. President must have directed any governor on what to do.
I didn't say he did. I said it looks like a ripple effect. The president hasn't appointed, the state governors are not appointing. What's going on? Is it a political plan?
In Enugu State, the commissioners have been appointed.
Enugu is not an APC state.
No, other states. Yes. What is going on? Let me be honest with you. Let's not trivialize the issue of this appointment. The appointment must be done in the way Mr. President wants the Nigerian people to benefit from. He doesn't want to run the food is ready. Let's not fall into what one of the Mr. President supporters in Enugu State told me the other weekend. He said, how can we kill an elephant? And Mr. President is eating it fresh. And he's drying the meat for us. Who told him to dry the meat? We want to eat it fresh. And I told him it's not about eating meat fresh. It's about, at the end of 4 years, how will the Nigerian people assess Mr. President? What will be his profile? What will the Nigerian people say that he reposed the confidence and the confidence was dashed? As Barrister Shitu said, there are a lot of screening going on. Nobody, you could not know what somebody had done before unless he's audited. And Mr. President might not know why we are doing the campaign. A lot of people contributed very highly to the success of his campaign. But when the audit is coming, they are not out of the audit gaze.
Okay,
the gaze must be done. He doesn't know all about us. He met some of us a few years ago. He met some few months ago. But we have existed for decades. There are people that know us better than Mr. President knows us. And some of this is coming into place. In an effort to be careful, as I said earlier, he's been accused that he over-delegates powers. And he said, yes, he must work with people. And if he must work with people, he must make sure that approximately to his own greatest assessment, they should be credible people. Because he's not going to be in the ministry with a minister. He's not going to be in the agency with the MD. He's not going to be in the country where somebody is posted as an ambassador. These are some of the things he's trying to avoid. No matter how, even if he doesn't sleep for 24 hours, he cannot do a cross-check of what everybody is doing. The confidence, trust, is the backdrop of effective governance. And recruitment of staff is also one of the core ingredients of a good leader. You cannot be a good leader if you start from the one to make false appointments.
Okay, Mr. Okechukwu, just before we come to Mr. Onwudiwe, that means you're implying that to get a credible person that will work with the president is like trying to pass a camel through the eye of a needle. Exactly.
I told you earlier that some are former governors, some are former ministers, some are former highly successful technocrats in their own field. But when they are put in the audit profile, you have a different records. Because Mr. President doesn't know where everybody is coming from. It's very difficult for him to do that. Because some of us have 60-something years, some are 40, some are 30-something years. Mr. President met you a few months ago, 2 years ago, 12 years ago. Is that how you have a proper audit of who you are and where you're coming from?
Okay, we'll just come back to the studio now. You've heard what Mr. Okechukwu has said, and the president, even though he was a candidate and is looking forward to being the president, he didn't have all of the apparatus that he needed to work with. Now he sends the names, and they're still trying to separate, let me say, the men from the boys.
Well, thank you very, very much. I'm worried. I'm worried because my brother and friend Okechukwu is a brilliant man. And I know no matter how brilliant you are, when certain things are difficult to explain. So what we do, we cover it up with a lot of things. And I sympathize. Oh, God. The kind of excuses that we're beginning to listen to. Please, I want to advise. I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party. I have never registered for one. Let that be clear. So it's not as if I'm in PDP or I'm anywhere I'm opposing. No. I was not introduced here as a lawyer. I was even introduced as a social commentator. Clear. In other words, I'm not discussing law. I'm discussing what do the people out there feel. And we go beyond the people and we go out. For heaven's sake, no president can make it without attracting foreign investors. Mind what you're announcing to them. We can't find credible people. Who will bring money to invest in your country? You can't find credible people. And there are more credible people than you have in politics. Must all of us be politicians before you can find credible people? So you don't know your people. Again, listening to Osita. And what did he say? Mr. President cannot know. He doesn't know. We're not talking about knowing 160 million people. We're talking about from day one that you started having a dream, what are the kind of people you're going to get that will work with you. Then suddenly you say, okay, now that the elections are over, you're beginning to see, oh no, some were even governors. Fine, all have sinned, except of course Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. Those are the only ones that do not fall short. In the whole country, what makes you a leader? You're a leader when you have people you're leading. What makes you a pastor or an imam? There are people you evangelize. For how many years? Who are the people who you can say, these are people who have always seen in President Muhammadu Buhari, this is our role model. And these people follow him and begin to want to be like him, to be as clean as he is. Who are the people following our vice president? Who are as clean? Please, I'm not one of those people who will say, quota system, put for this country or put for this state. No, 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 please, put everything from one family. But let Nigeria move. And then you sit here and say, no, no, no.
From one family,
I don't care.
I really don't care. Across the country.
I really don't care. I sincerely don't care. I want Nigeria to move. Because this country, you see, we have too much government. Everything that is happening in Abuja, which is so bad, affects the gari you're eating in Lagos.
Okay, in winding down now, let me ask Mr. Shitu, what would you have the president do faster now to make sure that, okay, all of, or some of the way Nigerians are seeing this, you will answer their call?
I quite sympathize with some of the sentiments expressed by my co-panelists, but I want him to understand that the few appointments that have been made so far by the president are generally acknowledged as credible. The appointment of service chiefs, the appointment of the chief press secretary, and some other appointments he has made. There's nobody who can question. But going forward, we need people of competence, people of character, and people of capacity.
Okay. Mr. Okechukwu, what else would you leave with Nigerians as everyone look forward to seeing a cabinet put together by Mr. President?
What I assure the Nigerian people is that President Muhammad Buhari will not disappoint them. They will have good governance, their prosperity will be enhanced to a greater degree than more than what they have seen in the previous years.
All right. And Mr. Onwudiwe.
Please, there's just one very little thing I want to pass out there. In 1979, something interesting happened in the city of Boston. And what is the name of the school? The Massachusetts Institute. There was a particular boy, an African, I don't want to say what country he comes from, who was able to break into the system of the university and get the exams before the exam date, and was selling the papers. The same boy was eventually did something to his phone that he could call anywhere in the world and it would not record in the Bell Company. A criminal. He was getting on. Guess what? The school did not get him. But the Bell Company found out that this phone has been here and there's no bill on it. So they decided to tap the phone and discovered that people have been talking on it, but it's not recording. They got him arrested. The chairman of Bell Company came from Washington. You know what he said? I'm dropping charges. I want to employ this boy. Now his job will be to make sure he can watch anybody else that's going to try and do the same type of thing so that it doesn't happen again. We're not going to waste this brain. What am I trying to say? Bring those tips to catch the tips, if that's the only program you have for Nigeria. I end.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning. We've been speaking with Mr. Wahab Shitu, a legal practitioner, and also Mr. Oscar Onwudiwe, a social commentator, and from our Abuja studios, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, an APC chieftain. Thank you all for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll take a quick break. Sunrise will be back.